Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price has hit my exact price target at around 63,000 US dollars before finding a bit of resistance here. This is the final hurdle we need to get above before we're in brand new all-time highs. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about whether or not we could see a bit of a rejection here, or if we could expect a breakout very soon. So definitely stay tuned for that in just a moment. And also later in the video, I'll be going over the Bitcoin order books. This is important to pay attention to, and the Bitcoin fear and greed index, because right now we are in extreme greed. So make sure you're watching all the way to the end of this video so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, you might as well drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more videos just like this every single day. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame. And what we can straight away see is clearly since yesterday, Bitcoin has continued on this pump to the upside right into this range of resistance. Just quickly recapping my last few videos on the channel, we were looking at this area just here as our previous area of resistance, and that was between 57 and 58,000 US dollars. And of course, we did find resistance along that level. And in fact, the first time Bitcoin made it into that range of resistance, we did actually get a rejection to the downside before then breaking out on the second attempt. And what you can notice is the moment we broke out of that range of resistance, we basically head straight into my next range of resistance as expected. And you can see here, at least on the Bybit chart, we hit around 63.1k approximately, which is pretty much just inside this range of resistance. For the brand new viewers on the channel, this range I've got between 63,000 and 65,000 as the last hurdle we need to jump over before we're in brand new all-time highs. Because for those that don't know, the all-time high for Bitcoin is pretty much at 65,000 US dollars, just under 65k. And what normally happens is we actually don't see a break above the all-time high without seeing at least one rejection first. And we actually saw something similar just here. Once again, we saw a rejection before then breaking out on the second attempt. And zooming all the way out to the daily Bitcoin chart, taking a quick look at what happened the last time we broke out above the all-time high. That was back here at the end of 2020. I'm only going to go over this really quickly because I did cover this in a little bit more detail in yesterday's Bitcoin update. But anyway, for the new viewers on the channel, this is where Bitcoin broke above the $20,000 all-time high that was set back in 2017. And what actually happened right here? Well, you can clearly see as we were approaching 20,000 US dollars at around 19,500, we did see an initial rejection down towards around 16,000. So that was actually a pretty decent dip. And then we came back up to just higher than the previous high. And this one was a lot closer to 20k. It was at around 19.9k before we found more resistance along that level and a little bit of a short-term call-off before we then broke out to the upside on the third attempt. And the moment we broke above that resistance, the Bitcoin price absolutely exploded. But just in the shorter term, we did have a couple points of rejection. Now zooming out even further and going back to the last Bitcoin bull cycle back in 2017 to the point where we broke above the previous all-time high. First of all, let's map out the previous all-time high, which was set back at the end of 2013. So that's this level right here, this red line. Now let's go over and look at the 2017 bull market. What we can see here is Bitcoin found resistance pretty much exactly along this red line of resistance. Now back in 2017 at the all-time high breakout, we did actually get slightly above it for a couple days. But as I said earlier, we don't normally see a major breakout on the very first attempt. So what happened here? We came back down. We had a second attempt, which in that case was actually a lower high. And that second failed attempt led into a further correction for the Bitcoin price. And then eventually we formed this W pattern. We started bottoming out, coming back up towards the all-time high level. And then we saw another point of resistance, a third point of resistance before we finally broke out to the upside on the fourth and final attempt. And when Bitcoin finally got a successful break above the all-time high, entering into a brand new all-time high, the same thing happened back in 2017 as what happened at the end of 2020. Bitcoin absolutely exploded to the upside. You can see exactly what happens next. So this is Bitcoin at the present day on the daily time frame. And what we can see here is the fact that we're very close to the all-time high. In fact, from the current Bitcoin price at the time of filming this video to the all-time high, that's around a 5% gain away. And just to put that into perspective, the last daily candle that we saw yesterday was a 7.5% gain. So if we see the same gain as what we saw the other day, then that would literally put us into a brand new all-time high within a day. But it's important that we factor in that final point of resistance at the all-time high level, which is that range that I've been talking about between 63 and 65,000 US dollars. Because right now it does remain a possibility that we could get a little bit of a rejection along the all-time high. Now it's important to mention I don't expect a huge crash or anything. You just saw what happened the last two times we saw a massive all-time high breakout. So just going off what Bitcoin has done in its history, all I'm saying is don't be too surprised if we do get a bit of a rejection first before we see the breakout later on. But with that being said, at this point where we are right now, honestly, I expect all-time highs pretty soon. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, and I'll say probably within a month from now, we will see the all-time high breakout, and that can come a lot sooner, but that's just factoring in potentially getting a bit of a rejection at first and then a breakout later on. And as well, it's important to mention that we don't actually have to do that. It's simply just what we've seen in the past time and time again. And also, generally speaking, if we have a bit of a shakeout before the breakout, that makes the breakout a lot bigger because it shakes out the weak hands, which are people that are potentially FOMOing in at the current prices. So if we do get a bit of a rejection here, they might sell out of Bitcoin. And then later on, if we see that breakout to the upside, those are the type of people that will buy in at higher prices, which will act as the rocket fuel for Bitcoin for this next run to the upside. We need people to get shaken out of the market for us to have more buyers at higher prices. And getting into some Bitcoin price targets, now that this bull flag has played out and we've hit the exact price target at 63,000 US dollars, we can get rid of that one. And absolutely congratulations to every single one of you that actually took that trade at that breakout towards 45,000 US dollars. If you're on the channel at that stage, that was the moment where I flipped from bearish to bullish, because during the month of September, I was a little bit more bearish on Bitcoin, but the moment we broke that 45K level, that is when I flipped bullish and stayed bullish. And obviously the first initial price target to the upside is the same price target we've had all this time, and that's the $63,000 to $65,000 level before we can start looking at the price targets above the all-time high. And just before I talk about those much higher price targets, I'll just quickly mention some important areas of support in case we do see that rejection here. One of the first major levels of support would be this range just here. This previous resistance flipped into new support, and that's coming in between 57 and 58,000 US dollars. And when you're bringing out the Fibonacci retracement tool from this low at around 39,500 US dollars up to the recent $63,000 high, what you can see here is that's the first Fibonacci level, the 23.6% Fibonacci level, coming in at around 57,500 US dollars, right in the middle of that range just there. And anything lower, we have the 38.2% Fibonacci level coming in at around 54,000 US dollars. And that's exactly where Bitcoin found huge support during this entire area just here. And by the way, the 38.2% Fibonacci level is the second most important Fibonacci level. The most important is the golden pocket, but that's coming in at around 48,500 US dollars. And honestly, at this stage, I would not be targeting towards 48,000 simply because of how much bullish momentum we have right now and how strong these other areas of support are for Bitcoin. And it's also important to mention that even though Bitcoin has very strong support at these Fibonacci levels just here, once again at 54,000 and around 57,000, even though that's the case, it doesn't mean that we have to go down to those levels. It just means that if we do see a bit of a rejection here, those are the sort of levels that I would expect to see some sort of bounce for Bitcoin at. And I'm not betting on the price going down there. It's just important to keep some of these support levels in mind if we do see that rejection. Now jumping into the first major price target for Bitcoin, if we can crack through that all-time high resistance, and that's simply the price target out of this huge cup and handle pattern. This is something that I've been mentioning time and time again on the channel, but for the new viewers on the channel, we've already formed the pattern, we've already broken to the upside, and in fact, we're already approaching the halfway point for this price target. So for any of you that were on the channel around 2 weeks ago, if you simply entered some sort of long position or bought into Bitcoin on this breakout just here, right now you are in some huge profits and we're not even halfway. This technical price target is coming in at around 79,000 US dollars, nearly 80,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. And as I said, that's just the first major price target for Bitcoin above the all-time high. Honestly, if we can get up towards those sort of levels, I wouldn't expect Bitcoin to just stop there. But keep in mind, this is on the daily time frame. Each one of these candles is an entire day. So even if we see some sort of short-term pullback just here, that still doesn't affect this price target from playing out. So that's an important thing to remember for the new viewers on the channel. Even though this is a very bullish price target, don't necessarily expect a $79,000 Bitcoin tomorrow. And now just taking a quick look at the Bitcoin order books across all of these exchanges. Right now, we've got a huge amount of sell orders to the upside, which will be acting as resistance. And where those sell orders coming in at? Well, mostly between 63,000 and 65,000 US dollars. So this completely backs up the technical analysis that I've been giving you guys over the past few days. But what you'll notice here is after we can get above the all-time high, after we can crack above 65,000 US dollars, the sell orders drop off. We do not have much resistance just on the other side. So honestly, when we break above the all-time all-time high, I would expect an explosion to the upside in the Bitcoin price not too long after we see the breakout. But just keep in mind, we're not there just yet. We will be soon enough, but it's important to remain flexible on the chart and factor in some sort of potential pullback before we see the breakout. That's all I'm saying, because that also ties into the Bitcoin fear and greed index. Right now, we are sitting in extreme greed, and what that normally means is we are potentially due for some sort of short-term cool-off. Basically, the further into extreme greed we go, the higher the risk of bearish price action. So let's just say if we immediately break above the all-time high and we start pumping to the upside, that's going to absolutely pump this Bitcoin fear and greed index pretty close to 100. And in that case, that's not going to be a sustainable move. The best thing for all of us Bitcoin holders is sustainable gains. Obviously, it would be amazing to see an explosion straight away above the all-time high. But if that happens, it's likely going to fizzle out a lot faster than if we do see a little bit of a cool-off or some sort of pullback or rejection before the breakout. In that case, that gives these indicators time to reset a little bit, and that gives us more room to the upside after we get above the all-time high. But with all of that being said, in a bull market, in the full force of a bull market, when we have all of that bullish momentum coming at us, we can actually stay in extreme greed for quite some time. Taking a look at the historical values for this fear and greed index, what we can see right here, for example, between around November 2020 and the end of January 2021, Bitcoin remained in extreme greed for that entire time period. About 2.5 months, we were in extreme greed without really seeing any major pullback. So just keep that in mind as well. Even though we are seeing extreme greed at the moment, in the full force of a bull market, we can stay at these sort of values for quite some time, literally months. So that's why it's important to really look at the whole picture, never rely on one indicator in particular, and try and look at the whole picture. Look at all of the bullish signs, all of the bearish signs, and try and weigh up what is the most likely outcome for Bitcoin. That's really the whole point of technical analysis, and that's really what I try to do here every single day here on the channel. And if you appreciate that, make sure to leave a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. And also, considering the amazing opportunity that we are in right now, there's never been a better time to share these videos around with your friends and family, because I'm telling you now, the moment we start getting above the all-time high, that's when the mainstream media will start covering Bitcoin again, and everyone's going to start flowing in. And obviously at that stage, it would be much better to set yourself up before the breakout. That's not financial advice. That's just giving you an insight of what I'm doing myself. And just before we click off this video, for the new viewers on the channel that missed these uploads, definitely check one of those ones out, because I have a trading tutorial video showing exactly how I trade Bitcoin and a passive income video showing exactly how I earn passive income for free every single day with no work required. But anyway, that's really everything I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.